Yeah. I'm gonna hop into the way back machine because I've been thinking about my bacon this whole time.
Yeah.
Your bacon.
There was a question 7, or there was a question about some bacon.
I said you
Yeah.
were there. That's about it.
Yeah, my two things in my life that are my delicious strips of bacon are weightlifting. I've gotten very into weightlifting just in the past year, kind of like right after we shot the pop punk music video. I started to get like really into specifically like natural bodybuilding. So I've been into that, and I'm like, I've loved it, and I'm kind of coming to the end of my first year, and it's super fun, and it's like really grounds me. And just weightlifting is one of those things where it left my life for a long time because I was a big weightlifter in high school and in college, and then it left my life for a long time, and now it's come back into my life, and I am just kind of just way into it, just way obsessed with it. And then the other thing is specifically wine in general. I'm a huge wino.
Okay.
My wife and I, we just out in SoCal. It's very easy to be a wino. And just the other day, we just joined a wine club, and that I'm very excited about. And we got, did the tasting, got some bottles, like take it home. We get to be all fancy and go, how's the Malbec? And we're just so like
the answer to that, by the way, the answer to that is either the answer to that, how's the Malbec, is either really great or really awful. There's no in between.
I don't know that I agree, but I do find Malbec to be
He's a wino. He is a wino.
A particularly boring varietal if given the choice between a Malbec, a Merlot, or a Cab. So anyways, I can talk a lot about wine, but I think you would have a distinct statistic and viewership that would tank if I just started going off.
Well, I mean, like, what wine goes with bacon?
Like, well,
there you go.
Yeah.
What would you pair with bacon the best?
With bacon, I would do a Zinfandel.
Ah, okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
So in my
Red?
extent of my knowledge,
Something
like
something fruity and. Is it red or white Zinfandel?
A Zinfandel is a red, and it's an oaked wine, and it has like a little bit of like it tends to have, not always, but it tends to have like kind of a huskier, smokier, like kind of bacony, like kind of scent to it, like on the nose. So I would totally go like with a Zinfandel or another oaked red wine like that with bacon if I had to pair wine and bacon. So there you go.
Do you get into the whole like some people that are very into wine get really into the pairing it with foods, and they get into the whole like making charcuterie boards and doing the whole thing just to pair it. Are you into that side of it? Or are you more into like the trial these, learn everything about it? Yeah.
What's funny is I've actually never gotten into the caring too much about pairing wine with food, because if you have good food and you have good wine, then you have a good time, and there's really no wrong answer. But I just made that up on the spot. I'll have you know.
That was a good one.
Yeah. That's hallmark as fuck.
I did have a wine journal where every bottle of wine that I had, I would write down all the tasting. Like I've been very into wine like ever since my early 20s. I think that the pairing with food and stuff, I think it can be a little overrated, because like that's kind of like a level of caring about it and a level of sophistication that I just think is lost on like 99% of people that are going to enjoy a good bottle of wine or a good meal. But it's I do find it very fun, and it kind of feels like you're in Pam's like Finer Things Club, in the office.
Right.
If you get into something like red wine, like to me, it's like having a vinyl record collection. I don't have, but I understand the feeling of like loving that collection of something that you feel nostalgic for and the kind of artistic around. Like I love that feeling.
The tangibles.
Totally.
I mean, that's the point. Like that's even just asking the question of what's your bacon and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of the point, is to one kind of like, everybody's got a thing, you know what I mean? Like everybody's got a thing that they kind of nerd out about a little bit, or that they get that passionate about it, that opens up that part of their brain. And it's kind of like we're trying to kind of like remind people to do that, talk about it and enjoy it. And like, if you talk about it, then someone that's listening is going to be like, oh, I fucking like wine. Or someone's going to be like, oh, it is kind of like this, you know? And that's kind of the idea, you know what I mean? So I love that. I love the more specific that you can get. Like as you start to get excited, you're like, oh, and I have these different glasses, because you have to have a different shape and size of glass if you're going to drink a different wine, because there's a different way to inhale, and there's a, you know, like all that kind of stuff. Like that's the cool shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, totally cool shit.
I actually like the stemless lately.
Do you?
I do. Those are fun.
I mean,
they're very fun.
Whiskey.
Often have cheeky phrases on them. It's a great time. Right. Stemless is a good party, man.
Yeah. It's wine o'clock.
Yeah. Hey, people,
if you have a good wine, you have a good time.
Yes.
I
think if you were to look at the Venn diagram of people, there's a significant overlap of 1 to 3 gnomes and stemless. So there it is, baby.
I like that.
I'll agree. With
I like that.
Yeah,
guys.
And as far as like weightlifting and stuff, are you? Is there any kind of like thought of getting into any competition? Like, are you into like that far into it where you're like, oh, I want to do a bodybuilding thing, or I want to lift for like do a competitive lifting?
Yeah, I'm kind of flirting with the idea. Originally, I was thinking I was gonna go towards like a fully a natty bodybuilding competition, but like the more I researched how hard it is to prep for a competition and the extreme dieting that they have to go through.
No wine for you.
No wine. All of them say the same thing. Yeah, no wine, no water for like months. It's ridiculous. All of the people that I've listened to talk about it, they all kind of say the same thing. They're like, this is not fun. Like this part of it, this is not the fun part of it. Like getting that shredded and being that limited in your diet and that strict and that structured. So I kind of started to lose the idea of going in that direction. And I kind of started to look at maybe doing like a weightlifting competition just for fun. You know, because you can find kind of smaller competitions randomly around the country. And so like right now, my goal for myself is I've never benched 3 plates. And so I'm working on by the end of the year getting to 3 plates. And I'm pretty close right now. But like so you know, and I'm not seriously looking at it and heading in that direction, but I'm definitely still flirting with the idea like maybe this could give myself some goals, you know, to kind of aspire to as a hobbyist about it. And it would be, you know, it would be something that could continue to drive me, to motivate me aside from just showing up at the gym, you know, for my own fun. So